Welcome to the podcast station, where we share exciting stories, interesting facts, lots of laughter, and lots of hope as we talk about caring for our human bodies in the 21st century. We have one ultimate goal, and that is to help you develop a newfound perspective and sense of appreciation for the incredible human body that you're living in. If you would like to join us for more educational courses or professional certifications, see us online at www.holistichealtheducators.com. Great to have you with us.
Welcome to our podcast on hormones.
Ta-da! So hormones and neurotransmitters, we talk about them both a lot. They're chemical messengers in the body. Today, we're actually just going to be dialing in specifically on a few hormones that we really like talking about and presenting on that are really relevant to topics people care about in the summer, which is losing weight and getting tan and sleeping well and having a healthy sex drive. I mean, ideally we have all year round, but they're hot topics with the summer coming up. And so we'll be focusing on a few specific hormones today, but both hormones and neurotransmitters are the chemical messengers in the body. There's a lot of interplay there, and it is very empowering to understand what regulates these regulatory molecules in the body. They each have a very real measurable effect on our body's physiological processes, and so understanding our hormones is like a fast track hack to achieving all of our health goals, because if we can help control who's in control of our body, then we have a lot more influence on our health outcomes.
And for those of you who have had like blood work done, or you use the AO scanner, you're going to recognize some of these words, and then this might be able to help you understand, oh, why is that person high in leptin? Oh, there's a leptin resistance, or why is that person not able to X, Y, and Z? So we're excited to share this with you today. And I think just for those who are basic, who have like this is new to somebody, I want to just explain that there's an endocrine system, and that controls the hormones, right? So hormones are simply chemical messengers, and they're made by endocrine glands. And so endocrine glands are throughout the body, and they make these chemicals and that trigger processes in the body. So some of the basic endocrine glands are going to be the hypothalamus and the pituitary. Hypothalamus is kind of in charge of everything, even though the pituitary gets named the master gland. The hypothalamus kind of just look at it as the big boss, and he's got the keys to the concert hall. But the pituitary is in charge of all of the people who come into the music hall, the ones who perform, the ones who clean the bathrooms, the ones who are in charge of the food, right? And so the pituitary is called the master gland, even though the hypothalamus tells it what to do and gives it its paycheck. And so the pituitary gland is that master gland. And the pituitary gland actually makes hormones and messengers that trigger all the other glands. So the pineal gland makes melatonin, and that helps you fall asleep, helps you regulate weight, helps with many, many things. The other endocrine glands would be the thyroid, right? The thyroid makes a thyroid stimulating hormone needing T4. The parathyroid, which are in the corners of the thyroid, called the parathyroid gland. That's a hormone, parathyroid hormone. You have a thymus, which also is very important in the body. You are familiar with the insulin that comes from the stomach, and some people don't throw that. The pancreas, sorry. The insulin comes from the pancreas, but actually on that note, nope, that's neurotransmitter, histamine in the stomach. And people don't put the stomach into the nervous system, and I'm like, well, they should be. But anyhow, so back to the hormones again. Your reproductive system has hormones, depending on your male or female, but you're familiar with those hormones that come as well, the ovaries, the testes, right? And then surprisingly enough, part of that endocrine system is actually your fat cells. I know, something new and something exciting, but your fat cells are actually the adipose tissue. That's what creates leptin. And so you actually even can look at your fat cells and go, wow, you're part of my endocrine system. So there's just a very basic overview of some of the endocrine glands and what they produce. So there you go, endocrine system, and then the nervous system is what makes neurotransmitters, and those actually control the endocrine system. So before we get into the specifics that we want to talk about today, I just want to make sure you understood what the endocrine system was, and then how the nervous system actually controls the endocrine system. And so sometimes I'll be working with people who have all these endocrine gland issues, and they're on all these medications for different hormones, and I'm like, well, what they need to be fixing is actually the nervous system.
Yeah.
So throw in there.
It It's both the messages that these endocrine glands are getting from the nervous system, as well as the messages they're getting from the contents of your bloodstream. So
Absolutely.
the contents of your bloodstream are, your body's in this continual feedback loop where your hormones are regulatory agents. They want to keep you hydrated. They want to keep you well rested. They want to make sure you have enough food to keep you alive, but not so much that you're over consuming and compromising the health of your body. And so it's constantly trying to keep you in a state of homeostasis. So if you're just sitting at home all alone and you feel like saying a big word, just say homeostasis. It's a great word to think about, because like we want to be in a state of balance, you know, where you're like hydrated and not too dehydrated and not overhydrated. And anyway, so we're trying to achieve homeostasis. So when it comes to these the hormones we want to talk about today, and I love that overview of the endocrine system.
Oh, just something very
just
simple
off the top of our head. Just like I'm just going to casually name like 9 endocrine glands for you. But really good to know. There are different hormones that are produced by each of these glands. Several of these glands produce multiple different hormones. Like, for example, the pituitary gland she just talked about. A new hormone I've been studying lately is MSH, which is what's melanocyte stimulating hormone. And this hormone is it plays into the melatonin in your skin. So it plays a role in how tan you get, but it also plays a role in your sex drive and especially your appetite. So being in the sun is actually an appetite suppressant, because the more MSH that gets stimulated to be produced due to sun exposure, the more your appetite's going to go down and the less hungry you're going to feel. And so we have compiled the 6 S's of hormone regulation. Yay! Yeah, so we're going to go over the 6 S's right now, and then just be talking about the different hormones that these regulatory lifestyle behaviors are related to. So
excellent.
Start.
It doesn't matter, but I do want to make sure those of you who are popping in later, we are in San Diego. So we have a different backdrop. This is the backdrop of my son's new home. So anyhow, just wanted to throw that in there. I don't care. Let's start with sun.
Sunshine. Numero uno, sunshine. Right. Okay, a lot of us have heard that sunlight not only helps regulate our circadian rhythm, but it also helps regulate our energy levels, how well we sleep at night. Actually, those are all related to your circadian rhythm. So we could just say it regulates your circadian rhythm, and your circadian rhythm regulates your hormones. So the levels of energy you have in the morning, getting sun and getting that blue light in the morning is going to jumpstart your endocrines and your hormones that help give you energy. And the soft light at night is going to help melatonin, which is the, and actually just no light, is going to help internet connection is still good. Okay, helps produce melatonin that will help you sleep at night. And so just how much sun you're getting in the morning and the midday is huge. Getting your UVB light at noon. There was a study that showed that just 30 minutes of sun, well, one study showed 13 minutes of sun 3 times a week is as much as adults in the UK needed who are Caucasian to achieve their vitamin D levels. The darker skin you have, the more time you need in the sun. So that was a specific metric done for Caucasian adults. For African Americans in a similar region, they need anywhere from 30 minutes to 3 hours. Sorry, that wouldn't be African Americans, but there's people with darker skin in those areas. And then another study showed 30 minutes of sun a day in Oslo, Norway during the summer was equivalent to 10,000 to 20,000 IUs of vitamin D. And so that would be like the same as taking 10 to 20,000 IUs of vitamin D, just 30 minutes of sun in the summer. So really important for just helping to generate vitamin D. Vitamin D is also a hormone that plays a level in energy and hydration and the health of your organs in general. So the first S of hormone regulation is getting sun. If you're feeling like, oh, I just feel so groggy and I feel tired and I just feel off and I don't feel like myself, get in the sun for just 10 to 20 to 30 minutes, anywhere between morning and noon, and that'll be a really helpful factor.
And might I just jump in there on the sun thing, because it's super important to realize that UVB rays, right, that's different than the blue lights. And so people are wearing blue lights now all day long. Don't be wearing blue light glasses. Blue light I've had people come in, oh yeah, I wear my blue light glasses all day. I'm like, no, you need the blue light in the morning to stimulate all the hormones. UVB rays from the sun are what make vitamin D in the skin. And so UVB rays are only available to your skin between 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock during the day. That's when the UVB rays hit this part of the earth. So just putting it out there, yeah. There's a difference there. Okay. What's number 2? Let's talk about number 2.
Number 2 is sleep. You can go.
No, sleep. Okay. So your body needs to sleep. Our entire body is regulated on this, by the circadian rhythm. And so when the pineal gland makes melatonin and we get ready to fall asleep, it's super important that we actually go to bed. And so people who are up until like midnight or 1 or 2 o'clock, right? And they're getting so much done in their hormonal system. Sorry, darling. And so we need to be getting sleep in order for our hormones to be reset. And so in order to strengthen in your circadian rhythm and get the body clicking, on the hard drive reset, we actually need to go to bed when the sun sets. And so as close to 8 or 9 o'clock at night you can to get to sleep, the better you are going to feel. And I'm telling you, it's true. The early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, well, woman and man and everything, healthy, wealthy, and wise, right? Anyhow, so super important to look at your sleep schedule. Absolutely.
I wanted to start looking in, does anyone practice like the 2-phase sleeping thing where you sleep early at night and then you take a break in like the middle of the night and get up and do stuff and then you go back to bed again for your second sleep cycle?
I know, but a lot of people probably don't know that they have a sleep cycle.
Founding fathers did that. Like there's a lot of research on this whole 2-phase. We'll talk about that later because I might try it out. If I ever
first you have to go to bed.
Yeah, going to bed early is the first step. So, well, real quick while we're on that, I do want to mention that the body's lymphatic system. So you have your lymphatic system and your glymphatic system. That is in your brain, and it also helps to store memories and long-term memories, and it's most active while you rest. And so getting to bed is very important for memory storage and for just remembering things and for brain health rejuvenation. So another excellent thing to just keep in mind, just for extra motivation, is like that glymphatic system. So,
well, that's super important because I went to college, you went to college, and people just stay up late, study, when actually they should go to bed. And I'm liking this whole 2-phase thing for the kids at college. That would be something they could try out.
Iris just mentioned here that it's taught in many meditative traditions. So Iris, if you won't mind at the end of this, if you have a word or two to speak, we'd love to hear about it.
Well, I know that many people get up like at that 3 to 5.
Yes.
That's when I get triggered. When I write my book, I'd wake up at 3 and I'd be up for a couple hours, I'd write, and then I go back to bed again. Is that what they're doing?
Yes,
I didn't know it was actually a
like,
system.
It's a total thing.
I'm so excited.
So now we have our homework assignment.
Yes, we do.
But so sleep is the second thing. It was really important for resetting hormones. All right. The third one is going to be sweating.
Oh, yes.
This can include saunaing or sauntering, or in other words, exercising. Now, I almost made those two separate things. I actually am tempted to make this the 7 S's and just include strolling, because walking is so good for you. A simple walk. Do you know that just going on a walk after you eat can decrease your blood glucose levels as well as some of the leading diabetic medications? Just going for a walk, and especially going walks before your meals, also will help you metabolize your food better. Going for a walk when you're depressed in the middle of the day and sitting inside and just feeling like the whole world is gloom and doom. That's totally been me before. This is like a personal story. All the time, I'm just like, whenever I don't feel myself, I'm like, I just need to go for a walk. Like, walking resets so many things in your body. It stimulates different nerves, and it's just a phenomenal hormonal reset. But aside from that, more vigorous exercise is also amazing to release growth stimulating hormone, which is going to help in weight loss, and also play a role in your energy levels, as well as increase your sensitivity to insulin. Insulin is a huge hormone that plays a role in weight gain and weight loss. I want you all to remember this if you're taking notes right now. Insulin, when there's insulin present in your bloodstream, your body will not burn fat. It will not burn fat. Insulin tells your body to store fat because insulin is released when there's glucose in the bloodstream, which is sugar, and your mitochondria, it's easier for your mitochondria to burn sugar than it is to burn fat. It takes less oxygen, it's faster, it's more efficient. So your mitochondria will favor burning the glucose over the fatty acid. So if if there's like a little bit of sugar in your bloodstream and then your body releases insulin, why in the world would your body shift into burning fat for energy if there's glucose available? Because it's so much easier and faster to burn. So that's why insulin, I like see these annoying ads all the time. They're not like whatever, but it's just like the secret hormone that's associated with weight loss and weight gain. It's a top secret hormone. And I'm like, they're probably talking about insulin right now because it's like it's so associated with everything. They're calling all these like normal hormones top secret. I'm like, this should be very common knowledge. Like, this should be very common knowledge. So insulin, just keep that in mind. This is why intermittent fasting is amazing for weight loss and for overall health, and especially for hormonal health. Intermittent fasting, because it increases your insulin sensitivity and also helps you just be more fat adapted. So intermittent fasting and decreasing the amount of carbohydrates we eat and processed sugars, especially, those things are all great for improving insulin sensitivity, and which is going to also lead to increasing how much fat you burn.
So really, right at the same time, let's just jump in our leptin, so people know what leptin is.
So what would this section be right now? This would be on more under foods than
Probably
sweat.
superfoods.
We're gonna come back to sweating, because exercise and sauna is its whole other thing. But well, we're on food, so let's just wrap it up with food.
Well, it just makes more sense. It just makes sense. So for those of you who are wondering what leptin is, and oftentimes people will be like, oh my gosh, I have so much leptin. Well, leptin is the satiety hormone made by the fat cells, right? And so when you eat food and you start eating a bit of food, the body wants to stop eating. So your fat cells are like, okay, I have enough. We have a good amount of storage here. You can stop eating. And then we get full and we don't eat anymore. Except people who eat a lot are always producing leptin. And because the body's like, okay, stop eating. Okay, stop eating. We're like, no, this tastes really good. I just need a little bit more. This is like amazing. Like, I don't want to stop eating. I'm watching a movie and I want to keep eating, or I'm out and I'm nervous. I want to keep eating, or just whatever these chemicals are that they put in this food, or I'm going to eat some more. So the more we eat, the more leptin is in our bloodstream. Well, now you can become leptin resistant, right? Because all you do is eat and eat. So people who are obese or gaining weight, often their body keeps making leptin, but they don't hear it anymore. Their hypothalamus is like, keep making leptin, but the whole body is not able to recognize that. And so we go into leptin resistance. And so I wanted to mention that because as you start losing weight, so if you go for your walk when you're done eating, right, you're gonna actually have this leptin in the body that starts to leave, or you'll have excess leptin, and all of a sudden your body might hear it, and then you'll and so that'll be happening. But you'll feel full faster, which is awesome. But the other thing is you might lose a lot of leptin very quickly because you're losing your fat cells, right, which are making more leptin, and then you want to eat all the time, right, because then you have more ghrelin. And so you want to find that balance. As you start to lose weight, you're going to recognize that you get hungry. You want to munch and you want to munch, because now your body is not leptin resistant anymore. And so you're losing the leptin. And so the body just wants to eat all. The body might feel very hungry. Nothing's telling it to stop eating. Does that kind of make sense? So the body the body has so much leptin. Sorry about that, you guys. I have my legs crossed to hold this steady, and it's very hard on my legs. Anyhow, plus I never cross my legs, but anyhow, and so that leptin is a super important hormone to recognize. And so if you're gaining weight, it's because you're leptin resistance and you don't hear your body telling you to stop eating. When you start losing all that weight, you might start craving a lot of food because you're losing the weight and the fat cells that were making the leptin. And now all of a sudden you're like, I'm hungry all the time. And then they'll keep gaining weight. So getting this leptin balance and leptin receptor sites open to receiving leptin is a really big awareness. And just, and then at the same time, ghrelin makes you want to eat. It's what's released right before you eat. And so you get all excited, right? And your apostatic, it's like, woo, you can't wait to eat. And so just something you want to be.
So those are two hormones. If anyone out there's like, I'm going to remember at least 6 hormones this month.
There you go.
It's a fun goal you can have. Ghrelin makes you hungry. Leptin makes you full. So that gives you the sensation of fullness. So I always said, like, your hormones are always playing in homeostasis. Where there's one, there's an opposite. Like, there's always an opposite. One's gonna make you hungry, one's gonna make you full, one's gonna make you thirsty, one's gonna make you feel like, I'm totally thirsty, don't need it anymore. Like,
one's gonna give you a sex drive, one's gonna turn it off.
Yeah, one's gonna make you sleepy, one's gonna give you energy. And so that's just like, just know this is this beautiful homeostasis equation that we're looking at right now. So the two that often go together are ghrelin and leptin. So
okay,
really happy you mentioned that. So thank you.
Oh, there we go.
So if you're like, oh my gosh, how do I regulate my leptin? It's just good to be aware of along your process. These 6 S's absolutely apply to that. So love that mentioning. So back to exercise and sweating. So any type of exercise is also really good for resetting hormones, and along with sweating, heat shock proteins, and just being in a sauna, that's also a huge metabolic reset and a huge reset button for your hormones. So making a regular practice of saunaing or sweating and exercising, great reset button on the hormones. So that's the next S is sweat. So,
okay, what's the next one?
Let us know if the connection's all right or not. We are trying our best to support this Wi-Fi. Okay. The next one we'll talk about is superfoods. So superfoods, and just this is also just means nutrition in general. There's a lot of support you can give your endocrine glands with your nutrition. And so for example, maca root is a superfood that is really helpful for people's adrenal system. And so, and you don't need a lot of it. Like a lot of our clients do well with just like a half teaspoon to a teaspoon of maca root. So it's not one that people are typically taking in tablespoon doses, but that's really helpful for the adrenal gland. Adaptogens, I would also put all these different herbal adaptogens and medicinal mushrooms. I would also put those under this category of superfoods, which are providing nourishment for and support for these endocrine glands and tissues.
Actually, on that note, you literally can go to any herbalist and find an adaptogenic set of herbs, and that would be amazing for you to start. So if you're like, man, my hormones really are off, I'm going to follow these 6 S's, and then I'm going to take adaptogenic herbs. 100% jump right into it. You can get adaptogenic herbs, an adaptogenic herb blend or a tincture. That means that these your herbs that will regulate themselves in the body. It can tell, oh, I need more of this, I need less of that, and the uptake is regulated naturally by the body. So phenomenal suggestion. Excellent.
So that's just something you can look up. Like she said, look up superfoods and herbal adaptogens that help support your endocrine glands, whether it's for adrenal fatigue or thyroid function, or any of your hormones. Aside from like those awesome stellar superfoods like borderline medicine foods, actually just making sure our nutrition in check plays a huge role too. And this is really just going to come back to having
that's an N.
I know it doesn't fit in the S's. We got to figure out where it fits. Well, selective. No, it does. Selective eating.
We came up with the last.
We have it. It's called selective eating. So what this means is decreasing select good foods, decreasing the amount of simple sugary carbohydrates. If you want to throw hormones off real fast, just high sugar American diets will do it. But then, so decreasing simple carbs and increasing healthy sources of protein and fat. There are so many studies that show people's hormones do so much better when they have enough healthy protein and healthy fat. So I really make a point to look for all 3 food groups in my meal, unless I'm like doing some type of ketotarian diet, but I'll look for like a healthy complex carbohydrate, a healthy fat, and a healthy protein. Boom. I just look for all 3 of those in my meals, whether that's like an eggs, an avocado, and some salsa, or a half of an apple, or some beans on top of a salad with some olive oil and Katamala olives and avocado. I just, lentil bean tacos. I look at like the lentil beans and quinoa. There's going to be a lot of protein in there, and some fresh greens and vegetables for some healthy complex carbohydrates, and a homemade salad dressing. Just getting in the habit of looking for proteins, fats, and carbohydrates and healthy sources of those, really healthy for hormone regulation.
Excellent. Okay.
And don't forget, your hormones are made out of, a lot of them are made out of cholesterol and fats. So you do need to eat like enough healthy fats. Cool.
Am I missing one?
Yes, there is one more. There is another S.
Where are we at? There's sunshine.
Stress reduction. Stress reduction.
Okay, amen. Which will automatically help you if you sleep. So sleeping will help stress reduction. Adaptogenic herbs will help sleep reduction. All these things help, right? They all work along with one another. Just sunshine will help with reduction. So,
but stress reduction, we're gonna emphasize breathing here.
Yep.
So this is also where even more of your nervous system comes on board with how, like, what hormones are being secreted in your body and not. There's like little parts of there's neurons in your brain they can stimulate, and it will make you either outraged or completely like excited or relaxed. Like they can go in and stimulate those neurons in your brain, and you can just like change your emotions like on a flip of a dime. And so that's just to show how interrelated your nervous system is with your body's reactions. But the nervous system, whether or not your body, we hear a lot about parasympathetic mode and sympathetic mode, and your body's actually operating under both of those systems. Like it's never that one's all the way turned off and one's all the way turned on. The regulatory mechanisms of both of those systems are both working at the same time, but one is typically in dominance over the other. Yeah. Typically stronger over the other. And so what we're looking at is like these stress reduction techniques that get your body out of fight or flight mode. This could have been what the whole podcast was on, because if someone's body's
next week we should do that.
If someone, it could be about neurotransmitters. and how neurotransmitters affect the body. Because seriously, if someone's body's in fight or flight mode, you would not believe what it's telling your body to do, and how much that could be contradicting your desire to lose weight and to sleep well throughout the night and to metabolize fat. Like, your body really does rely on you being in more of a relaxed state. So simple exercises like box breathing, nasal breathing, and yogic breathing, where you like inhale through one nostril, hold, exhale through the other nostril, hold. And so there's a lot of breathing techniques that can instantly start to reset your body into like a whole new state of, it's like firing your old manager that was stressing everyone in your body out and hiring a new manager that's like, all right, you guys, we got this. We got this. And it's just like, oh, it's like instantly relieving. So stress reduction's great for hormones. We didn't talk about cortisol, but
we have a few minutes.
We're running out of time.
We have 4 minutes left. Talk about cortisol.
Okay.
I'm holding the computer steady.
Yeah. Well, a lot of us have heard of cortisol, which is a stress-related hormone, and it can be good for you in small doses. So that's why in the beginning we're talking about hormones. Is, do you have a love-hate relationship with them? It's like, well, you actually need all of your hormones in a certain condition. The issue is when certain hormones are chronically present in the body, then the short-term effects they were supposed to have are now having long-term effects, and it can be causing chronic inflammation or chronic resistance to immune functions, or putting you in a chronic state. So for example, cortisol will purposefully downregulate your immune system for a little bit, because it's like, we're not worrying about that right now. We have this stressor to address. But then when you finally start to relax, your immune system often has like an overcompensating period, and then people tend to experience an over expression of immune system reactions when stress levels finally go down. So it's an interesting hormone to study, because a lot of things are affected by the body by cortisol, and it can be really helpful in small doses. We just don't want chronic levels of cortisol constantly being released in the bloodstream. And if you live in America, where your badge of honor is like your kids being involved in 3 clubs and 2 sports, and you having 2 jobs and 2 side hustles, and like, you know, all these kids and all these other activities, and just we've just so normalized. I know we have people on the call from several different countries, but that was my biggest thing I noticed when I started traveling more of the world, is like other people would comment to me how busy Americans were. They'd be like, dude, you guys are obsessed with being busy. Like, you're so busy. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And this was me, like, as a 16-year-old who was just like involved in 20 things and almost having panic attacks at the age of 16. So I was like, man, I really got to learn how to cut back. Anyway, so more on cortisol to come, because it's a pretty complex hormone. I'm still studying it, but it's just good to know that there's an ebb and flow.
And one of the best things you can do for cortisol levels is to treat those adrenals. The adrenals are, man, you just gotta look at those adrenals as little pumps of the body, because they help regulate testosterone, norepinephrine, you name it, cortisol. There's so much associated with the adrenals. So just, you can do nothing else except take some adaptogenic herbs, treat those adrenals, and follow those 6 S's. So many miraculous things are going to happen in your life. Your hormones are going to help to self-regulate, because you don't need something to stimulate every single hormone. That's what these need to come back into homeostasis. And so a lot of people go around, they buy something, or they go to the health food store, they need something to do something, right? Oh, I got to take melatonin because I can't fall asleep, or I've got to take this, I've got to do that, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, GTF chromium, it'll help. It'll help with all the sugars in my bloodstream and help with the insulin and and I'm like, you don't have to go buy anything. Most often you can do this on your own by literally following these 6 steps and maybe taking some adaptogenic herbs, because once you put the body in homeostasis, it is alter the nutrition, follow these 6 steps, and you can save your money. You don't have to go buy everything that you're thinking you need to. I guess that's my biggest frustration. And I own health food stores. I liked it when people came in and bought things, but I sent people home all the time with maca or with a superfood, because I'm much rather you take chia seeds and hemp seeds than buy omega-3s, right? Because they're in your food. So like food be your medicine and medicine be your food is how we're always going to end these talks, because it's so important to recognize that you don't have to be rich to get healthy. You just don't need to be wealthy to be healthy.
Yes.
I like that phrase.
Don't need to be wealthy to be healthy.
Oh,
I love it.
Yeah.
Let's do that. So let's review the 6 S's. So
sleep.
So wait, let's try to do these in order.
Okay.
Sunshine.
Sleep. We did sleep. Sauna.
So sweating, which can be exercising or saunaing or strolling. Yes.
And then stress reduction.
Stress reduction, superfoods,
Absolute superfood.
and selective eating.
We got it.
Superfoods and adaptogens. We're throwing that in there.
We
Selective
kind
eating.
of made up the 6 S's about a half an hour ago. So
That's not true.
I'm
I've
really
been
impressed with
meditating
it.
on this for
40
at least an hour and a half. But no, really though, I'm happy. We're gonna make a sheet. If you have any suggestions for things we should change this, we're making a sheet for our health coaches to share with their clients. So if you have anything else you want to throw in there, if they should be 7 S's and we make strolling its own thing, I vote for 7 S's and make strolling its own step because
Okay, fine.
walks. I seriously, I can't even. How
We
many of you
can
guys
do that.
walk? Raise your hand if you're a walker,
I'm okay.
because walking helps a lot. Oh, we have another
sugar.
suggestion.
Okay, we can do
Number
8.
7, a sugar
Let's
fast.
do 8. The 8 steps.
But that what sugar fasting would go along with selective eating. It
Okay.
could be select
We'll put it-
out
Select
sugar.
out sugar.
It could be skip
So-
the sugar.
Skip the sugar. I like that.
Yeah,
That
okay.
was
We have
great.
a lot of
Thank you for the suggestion,
Yeah,
Erin. Love
Thank
it,
you,
love it,
Erin.
love it.
Appreciate that. But let us know what your top tips are for hormone regulation and ways that we can all afford to help regulate our hormones naturally and stimulate healthy hormone production naturally.
That sounds wonderful.
Give us your feedback, but we absolutely loved having this call with you. And we hope you enjoyed learning more about your hormones today.
Excellent. And we are going to end this podcast, but stay on there because we have another little while with you. So here we go. Thank you for joining
Thank you,
us.
everyone. Hey, thank you for joining us. I hope you had as much fun as we did. If you would ever like to connect with us in person or live online for webinars, course certifications, events, conferences, parties, go ahead and check out our upcoming event schedule at www.holistichealtheducators.com. We would love to connect with you. We also host weekly live question and answer sessions. Until then, have a spectacular day.